Hi everyone, I am Hector. I have carried out doctoral studies in education. I wonder why peace education is important for our society. In other words, I wonder what is the purpose of peace education. Today, I would like to talk about peace education, how we come to love and hate conflict. This is my poster. Alright, peace education has its roots in a diversity of philosophical positions. Each one reveals a series of concerns about the complexity of the fact of history and from theoretical, practical developments. In other words, peace education responds to the problems of reality. For example, democracy, diversity, dignity, equality, justice, tolerance, freedom, and especially violence. One question: what can we learn from conflict situation in the family, at the university, in our friends, in a country? In other words, can we learn something from violence? Another question: is possible to think about the education of the conflict? Currently, there are many initiatives for the consolidation of peace through education with different conditions, approaches, and objectives. However, the increase in the processes of peace education in the world has several causes. I would like to talk about three causes. First, the measures of international education in defense of human rights and conflict resolution. Second, education for the development and liberation of people. Third, education concerned about the environmental disaster. Each one accounts for the human life and can offer different challenges. Well, peace education imagines of the several ideas about the modern warfare. The 21st century puts in the academic, political, and economic discourse the concern for violence, inequality, and especially for the human being. The two world wars produced the Universal Declaration on Human Rights. After, the social studies professor began teaching international relations and also about different cultures to develop a perspective of tolerance. In this context, I would like to talk about Maria Montessori. Uh, she said that people can use their creative abilities to escape the trap of destructive violence. In other words, it's possible to work on skills such as empathy and hospitality to manage interpersonal conflicts. Second, from Galton's perspective, there is a significant distinction between negative and positive peace in response to various forms of structural and cultural violence. Negative peace is the absence of direct physical violence, for example, torture, war, militarism, rape, and other forms of aggression. In contrast, positive peace requires a lack of structural and cultural violence. For example, there are systems such as racism, sexism, colonialism, exclusion that marginalize people in many parts of the world. In this context, I would like to talk about Pablo Freire. He wanted to help people face the oppression through education. Therefore, peace education accompanies processes of understanding reality and seeks the emancipation of people. Well, first, the increase in the processes of peace education is due to a concern for the environmental disaster. Nowadays, our world faces increasing global warming, rapid species extinctions, and the adverse effects of pollution. It's necessary to promote a concept of peace on ecological security where human beings are protected by natural processes. In other words, it's necessary to recognize in the education the importance of traditional cultures, habitat preservation, and bioregionalism. In conclusion, peace education has increased because it diversified and field of works and its theoretical basic creative new phases. Nowadays, we talk about peace education as international education in defense of human rights and conflict resolution. Peace education as education for development and liberation of people. And finally, peace education as environmental disaster. Therefore, peace education has increased because the reality is more diverse and complex. In other words, peace education responds to the problems of reality, but articulating great personal and community works that seeks to face the system of violence of the world. That's all. Thank you.